was born 87 years ago. But for all these years, I've never been the ruler of my own dreams. This is the 27th of Last Seed, the year of Akatosh 433. These are the closing days of the Third Era, and the final hours of my life.
When The Elder Scrolls IV: Oblivion came out in 2006 on the Xbox 360 and later on the PlayStation 3, it was a landmark title for Western RPGs. Morrowind was already a cult hit, but limitations of the original Xbox is what made it more of an interesting curiosity than anything that could be a mainstream success.
Ultimate Underworld, the Stygian Abyss
May have done it first in 1992, but Oblivion is the one that got the normies' attention. While The Elder Scrolls' success would balloon with the insane popularity of its sequel, Skyrim, Oblivion will always be the one game that defined the genre. Thanks to a healthy modding community, these games stayed in the cultural zeitgeist. These games weren't perfect. Oblivion especially has its quirks, and that's become deeply rooted in the developer's image. Out of nowhere, The Elder Scrolls IV: Oblivion got an Unreal Engine 5 remake. What can gamers expect from this overhaul? Does the complete visual remap remain true to the vision? And how does the gameplay hold up? Big and wide-open sandbox RPGs were not a new concept in 2006, but you could easily mistake Oblivion for being the first. It has a lot of basic quest design ideas that don't demand much from the player beyond following the quest marker, talking to a guy, or collecting a thingy and bringing the thingy to the place. Sometimes you fight a guy or a few, but there isn't much in ways of emergent gameplay, as Oblivion is pretty rigid. Much older RPGs would foster multiple ways for players to complete a quest. You didn't always have to adhere to what the quest log described, and there were always out-of-the-box solutions for lateral-thinking gamers. When Patrick Stewart sets the player on his main journey, there isn't any other way to complete it other than what the designers created. It doesn't even matter how evil you play.
You will become the 7th champion of Cyrodiil.
For a lot of gamers, this kind of handholdy and tightly scripted quest design is fine if you just want to turn off your brain and not think. The main appeal of Oblivion is not its gameplay. What players love is its atmosphere and freedom to explore. The limp combat and the weightless ragdoll physics are amusing, but it never felt good. And it still doesn't in Unreal 5, but at least the ambiance is as thick as ever. After making your hideously deformed protagonist with the impressively robust yet ultimately pointless avatar creator, gamers are free to choose or create a class D&D style. The customization options are impressive and there's decent opportunity to specialize. Most of the time, these stats don't come into play, except for specific situations. For an overwhelming majority of the game,
Violence
and magical
Violence
solves everything. The most fun you can have in Oblivion is being a murderous vagrant. This game encourages this because killing an innocent person opens up the Dark Brotherhood questline, which is still one of the coolest quests designed in a Bethesda RPG. There is no shortage of quests and things to do in Cyrodiil, but it's spaced out in a way that makes the world feel sparse and empty. There isn't much going on between the different towns, and each one is probably way smaller than you remember. Back in 2006, Cyrodiil felt real, but now it isn't as convincing due to the small scale of the towns, made up of a few houses and NPCs all voiced by the same 5 people. The granular details may not hold up to scrutiny, but the visual presentation does. Oblivion Remastered looks pretty good. It's exactly what you'd think it would look like as an Unreal 5 game. It's razor sharp, it's crisp, and the worlds look convincing with its massive array of materials and post-processing effects. It still feels like Oblivion, and that's because under the hood, it's basically the same game running in the background. It isn't that much different when Dead Rising got its remake. Regretfully, the improved graphics ended up making the game look worse, since it's still playing basically the same as it did in 2006, which was already a bit of a joke for its time. The artifice of the remaster's visuals makes it feel cheap. The original Oblivion may have looked awkward, but it was soulful, because some poor devil with a vision worked on it with a deadline looming over him. The Unreal 5 graphics suspiciously resemble stock assets. Most realistic games today are all made with asset packs, since they don't need to abide by an art style, and Oblivion Remastered is no different. Oblivion didn't really need a graphical overhaul. The ugliness was a major aspect of its identity. With the gameplay being mostly the same, the graphics update hardly felt worthwhile. The AI is still really dumb, and seeing realistic characters and enemies behave with the same quirks is unconvincing. All it needed was improved textures, an FPS boost, and more options to customize your experience. Most gamers will probably eat up the graphical update, and will feel as though it's refreshing to return to it with a new coat of paint. The range of items and intractables is the same as ever, making the world feel immersive. In most RPGs, items always serve a purpose for the player, but in Elder Scrolls, all the random objects lying around exist to serve the world. Not everything in Oblivion is meant for the player, which helps make the setting feel more convincing. This is one of the defining aspects of these games, which captivated the players. It's streamlined compared to many RPGs that came before it, but it manages to trounce the level of detail seen in the likes of Avowed. The biggest changes to Oblivion's gameplay are unobtrusive tweaks. You can sprint now, and level scaling has been modified so it feels more like your character is growing and less like they're stagnating. The leveling system is similar to how it was in Skyrim, melding the best aspects of both games together. Some of the old quirks like bunny hopping to boost athletics still apply, and you'll always need to take a nap to allocate stat points. For a while, there were no other options on consoles if you wanted something like Oblivion. It took a while for the game industry to catch up with it and deliver something similar in scope. Games like Dragon's Dogma, Kingdoms of Alamar, or other Bethesda games were the only other choices. Today, there are more ambitious options to choose from, making Oblivion Remastered feel quaint, and no amount of realistic Unreal 5 graphics can hide that. There is no mistaking Oblivion for what it truly is, an early PS360 game from 2006, wearing an Unreal 5 skin suit. If you already love Oblivion, then you will adore Oblivion Remastered, since it is a new way to experience a legitimate classic of its era. There are a scant few extra surprises tucked away, but this is the same game you know and love, for better and for worse.